Imagine receiving the ultimate inheritance, a level of strength that could shift the stars, only to have it faded from your mind. Why would history's most capable hero be forced to forget who he actually was? As a child, Hanuman was an anomaly. He carried a concentration of boons that defied nature, the speed of the wind, the heat of the sun, and a body that could not be broken by any weapon. But this divine inventory belonged to a toddler. He was hyperactive, endlessly curious, and lacked any concept of consequence. To Hanuman, gravity was a suggestion, and mountains were toys. He would uproot ancient trees just to see them fall, or leap toward the clouds to catch the sun, treating the celestial order like a backyard playground. This wasn't malice, but the effect was the same. His presence shattered the silence of the meditation groves and physically disrupted the ecosystems where the sages lived and practiced their rites. When a child possesses the speed of the wind and the fire of the sun, his curiosity becomes a physical danger to the world. Without a mind capable of governing that power, the very gifts meant to protect the world began to threaten its stability. The sages realized they couldn't simply strip the boy of his gifts. They knew a time would come when the universe would need his strength to survive, but they also knew that letting it remain active in an immature mind would lead to ruin. They designed a solution that functioned as a long-term psychological intervention. It was a curse born from foresight, intended to protect both the world and the boy himself. They placed a veil over his memory. Hanuman kept his physical potential, but the awareness of his gifts was removed. The sages built a specific trigger into the spell. The power would remain dormant until someone recounted his true history. This curse acted as a safety vault. It secured a massive source of energy until the vessel carrying it was mature enough to use it responsibly. The chaos in the forests ended instantly. Hanuman's overwhelming abilities vanished from his daily life. Forced to live as an ordinary mortal, Hanuman could no longer rely on brute force to solve his problems. He had to learn to listen, to follow instructions, and to develop the internal mechanisms of self-restraint. Over decades of quiet service and study, he transformed. He became a disciplined, humble, and deeply thoughtful adult, forged by the experience of having no special advantages at all. The strength of his character grew in the vacuum where his physical power used to be. By the time he reached maturity, he had built a foundation of humility that his younger self could never have understood. This newfound discipline faced its ultimate test during the war for the fate of the world. With Sita missing and the army stopped by the edge of a vast ocean, the mission seemed over before it had truly begun. The elder Jambavan recognized that the time for the sage's plan had arrived. He understood his role was to fulfill the conditions of the ancient awakening. Jambavan spoke to Hanuman on the shore, detailing the miracles of his birth and the scope of his forgotten potential. As the words took hold, the veil the sages had cast centuries earlier finally dissolved. Golden light began to spill from his very pores. Hanuman's stature grew to the height of the clouds, his eyes reflected the intensity of the sun, and the certainty of his true nature returned to him. The force that returned to his limbs matched the scale of his childhood gifts, yet it was now directed by a specific righteous purpose. Had Hanuman never been cursed, his life would have followed a different trajectory. Growing up with infinite strength usually leads to a life defined by ego and the easy use of force. Without that long period of forced vulnerability, he likely would have become an invincible warlord rather than a devoted protector. This story defines strength as the ability to maintain immense capability in reserve. It suggests that the most effective force is the one that is governed by the mind. The sage's curse was a masterclass in development. It ensured that when Hanuman finally struck for the side of justice, he did so not just with the strength of a god, but with the wisdom of a man who had learned the value of waiting for the right moment.